Welcome to the channel, everybody, and you have just stumbled upon the most accurate sports pundit of the entire 2023 NFL season. Don't believe me? Well, first off, I'm going to have all the videos from my previous prediction videos in the description below. I made three. An AFC North Prediction video, an NFC North Prediction video, and another one where I just kind of through some of my wilder takes that kind of combined some stuff from I said from the previous videos, along with some other stuff that didn't fit neatly into this divisional style format. And first and foremost, AFC North, I made some bold assertions. This is going to be the tough division. So this was what I had their original record being. I had the Ravens 4-2, Steelers 3-2, Bengals 3-3, and the Browns 4-1. You know what they are right now? 4-2, 3-2, 3-3, 3-2. I got some of the details of who they won or lost to, but the trajectory of these teams, I'm dead on. I'm one Browns win away from being entirely accurate about the record up to this point. On the NFC North side, this is where I had the teams sitting. Now I was 1-1 off of the Vikings, one loss off of the Lions. And I was dead right about the Packers. Now, the one team I got really wrong was the Bears. But everyone was wrong about the Bears, right? There's some stupid people talking about Justin Fields as an MVP candidate. Pump the brakes. I also had some other interesting takes, too. I had the Bengals going 0-2. I thought their third loss would be to the Seattle Seahawks instead of the Tennessee Titans. I also had the Jets winning Monday Night Football. I had the Lions defeating the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. The Buffalo Bills going 5-3 and then trading for a running back at the trade deadline. And Lord and behold, they're one loss away from being 5-3 heading into that trade deadline. And on top of it, too, I also said that the Lions and the Raiders each be 5-2, 4-3 respectively, heading to their matchup where the Lions would absolutely pummel them on Monday Night Football, eventually leading to Josh McDaniels getting fired and the Raiders embracing the Tank Bowl. Do you know what the Lions record is? You know, they're 5-1 right now. But you know what the Raiders record is? 3-3 playing against the Chicago Bears. I am completely new to the sports predicting world. I am. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I didn't know how accurate I would be, and to be honest, I'm surprised about how accurate I've been so far. It's not just these prediction videos either. I've won over $100 in office pools, like picking weekly games. And I've also, you got this Fox Super 6 app, and you can make your picks for the games. I placed 50th out of the entire world last week for my NFL picks, which is really cool. But I think the reason that my predictions have been so accurate, again, if you don't believe me, check out the videos in the links in the description, because again, you can see the dates those were published. That was way before the season. I went about my record prediction very differently than a lot of other pundits do. What I did, I took a look at A, what happened last year, and B, trying to use some of the pieces that they added to see if they could improve on those things. But I was right on a lot of stuff about these teams. So first off, the Pittsburgh Steelers have exactly one way to win. They have one way to win. There's a magic checklist with the Steelers. They need to rush for at least 120 yards, win the turnover battle by 2, and also have some wild plays. I refer to it as the Steeler magic pixie dust. It's the only explanation I have for some of the stuff that happens in those Pittsburgh games. I mean, think about it. The Ravens this year, Bengals last year. Come on. There has to be something. And I thought the offense would be limited with Matt Canada, that he should have been fired. I was right about that. I figured the Bengals would start slow just because of that Burrow injury, and the exact same thing happened last year. And that happened too. And I figured Baltimore would have a bit of a muddled start. And this was mainly because there would be so many moving pieces. I thought the Zay Flowers would be okay, but he's young. And you got a new play caller. It's a whole new dynamic. So I figured Baltimore kind of flip the script a little bit, have a little bit of a rougher start, then maybe get a little better as things go along. And on the NFC North side, I figured the Packers and Vikings would be pretty mid or bad, but I mean, I was dead wrong about the Bears, but I thought the Lions would continue that momentum. I'm trying to do something that a lot of other pundits don't. A lot of other pundits check out the box score and all that stuff, but I actually try to watch these games. That's part of the reason why I think my predictions to this point are pretty good, because I tune in. I actually watch this stuff. I don't just watch my locally broadcasted LA New York game. I actually watch what's going on in the middle of the country, in our home, the Rust Belt, or Midwest, depending on you know, where exactly are you? Consider some places not Midwest. Like it's Ohio Midwest. Like I've heard people tell me that Ohio's not Midwest, but I feel like Ohio is Midwest. But like it's Rust Belt. I don't know. I mean, I was right about the way the Bears had to win. I figured the Bears would have to win every game by shootout. Again, check that video. I had in the assumption that Justin Fields would have to play out of his mind for them to be even a 10-win team. And it turns out, when your defensive coordinator gets potentially FBI FBI rated, so to speak, and your defensive head coach is not exactly great at his job, you're going to have some problems. And Luke Getsy is a problem. Justin Fields has been a problem. Matt Eberflus has been a particular problem. You should have won that Broncos game. I saw the Bears-Broncos game in person. You should have won that game. The Bears should have won that game, and they didn't win this game. They found a way to lose the game. So, and now this upcoming weekend, I figured I'll also give you my thoughts on that because, why not? Why not? I'm going to try to improve my upload schedule a little bit. It's hard because I'm going to be honest with you guys, college students, and it's hard to kind of get this stuff out. And I have, I got limited resources. I'm not going to pay a bunch of money for all this stuff. I'm going to kind of work within my means for this. So, anyways, it's why you guys should like and subscribe, because if you do that, then maybe I'll be able to become a somebody, and we can grow into something bigger that has some real pull. This upcoming weekend, I actually think it's going to be very similar to my prediction videos, except one exception. Like I think the Lions are going to lose to the Baltimore Ravens, mainly because the running backs are injured, and I love what the Lions are doing. I do. I just don't think that they are. At some point, the injuries are going to catch up with you. The Lions have done a great job persevering through it, but I feel like against the Baltimore Ravens, it's a tough squad, and Lamar's looking for a good quality win. I mean, the Ravens, other than the Ravens win against the Cleveland Browns without Deshaun Watson and against that rookie quarterback, they're looking for a quality win. They're hungry, and I know everybody's talking about the Lions being the number one seed. Pump the brakes on that a little bit, because I think it's a long season, and it's way too early to tell. So I think the Ravens are going to win that game. I think the Browns are going to lose against the Colts, mainly because the Colts are. I know they lost their starting quarterback, but I feel like they're going to have enough in the tank to beat Cleveland, just because Cleveland just played San Francisco. Every team who plays the San Francisco 49ers don't exactly have the greatest follow-up game to respond. They just they take a hunk out of you. So I don't think that PJ Walker is the answer. I don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. I'm kind of sick of the whole will he play, won't he play, will he play, won't he play, will he play, won't he play. Dude, what are you doing? But this is the thing with fully guaranteed contracts. It's like the NBA, baby. There's no reason for you to come back until you're perfectly healthy, or you want to, because you're going to get your money no matter what. So why risk it? And I don't think PJ Walker's the answer. There's a reason he's not in Carolina anymore, guys. There's a reason. So I also think that the Steelers are gonna beat the Rams. I don't see Matt Stafford being able to avoid that pass rush, and I think the Raiders are gonna beat the Chicago Bears. I think it just says a lot about. I think it's just a lot more about the Bears, and I also think that the Broncos are gonna beat the Packers. But hey, here's one wild prediction for you. No matter what happens, after week 8, the Chiefs will be 6-2, and the Broncos will be 2-6. I don't know how that works out. I don't think it'll be when the Broncos actually play the Chiefs in their rematch. But there's another prediction for you. Maybe I'll be right. Maybe I'll be wrong. Who knows? But I might as well tell you what I'm thinking. So, and I've also heard a lot of talk. Justin Fields a while back said about their slow start. Said the Lions started 1-6 and they clawed back and we can do the same thing. And Sean Payton recently said the Lions started slow. We can do the same thing. I don't think those guys understand what happened in Detroit. Detroit was never a bad team. Every time you watched a Detroit Lions game, the 22 season, you watched the defense and the refs give away games. Like the game 1 loss to Philadelphia, they should have won that game. If you watch the game, you realize, Jalen Hurts had an intentional grounding that wasn't called, and the NFL apologized for it, but they're not actually going to do anything. And game after game, the Lions were putting up numbers. It's just their defense couldn't put together a stop. And you know why that was? They had a young roster from all the guys that Brad Holmes carefully drafted, developed, but the Lions had a plan. They had a plan going into this. And they were a young team, and they were trying to exercise a lot of demons. Detroit is a cursed franchise. And the fact that they've turned the ship around, it took a while for that winning culture to kind of build itself. I don't see any other team as a Lions equivalent. What the 2022 Lions did is a fascinating story, and it's not going to happen again. And by the way, the Lions did not make the playoffs last year. They should have. The refs screwed them indirectly, because if you watch that Seahawks-Rams game, there were some interesting calls. I'm just gonna say. And I mean, they even tried to pull the same stuff against the Lions in Kansas City, and there's some weird stuff with the Packers. But the Lions are such a good team; they're able to overcome it now. But the Lions had a plan and had an identity, and these other teams don't. Sean Payton is a worse coach than Nathaniel Hackett. I don't even know why that's a conversation. Nathaniel Hackett, the reason why he got all this popular press, this is why I hate the sports networks. Because Sean Payton spent all of his time in LA, hopping on Fox shows, talking about sports. He thought he was invincible, and you know what? The media gave him a pass. This is what media does. Media is not built to actually challenge people in power. That's not what it does, not in sports. That's not what happens. Instead, what happens is that those pundits, they make so much money, they don't want to offend anyone. They don't want to make dinner awkward. And so they're not going to push back against people they should. There should have been a lot more pushback on Sean Payton way earlier than there is right now. If Nathaniel Hackett did the nonsense that Sean Payton did, he would have been getting ripped. How about talking about how bad your predecessor was? Remember that whole thing? But the media didn't care. The media didn't care because it was their guy. And even the guys on sports networks that acknowledge it, that was wrong, they're still trying to, prop up their guy. It's not all his fault. I heard the same nonsense about Josh McDaniels. All these guys are like, he's the offensive coach. He'll turn it around. The Raiders are not going to make the playoffs. The Raiders made the playoffs last year. That's why they should have kept Rich Bisaccia. If they would have kept Rich Bisaccia, the Raiders would have been a contender last year, or at least been a better team. The guys loved him in the locker room. He took the dumpster fire of the John Gruden scandal and turned it into a playoff berth. And the team they lost to were the Bengals, who were the Super Bowl representatives for the AFC. So, this is why I hate the sport and a lot of the sports media. It's why I kind of started this channel. These guys are not interested in watching the games. They're there to chewy their side, and that's fine. That's fine if you admit that's what you're doing, instead of just, absolutely being a hack, so to speak, to make yourself feel better or to make your team look better. I mean, that's why I didn't have faith in the Chargers this year. The Chargers are a media creation. They have been. They've been a media creation ever since they moved there. They moved from San Diego. Everybody in the East and West Coast wants a New York or LA team to be good. And you're missing out on the whole rest of the country. You need good franchises everywhere, not just where you live. And that's why I try to pride myself in actually tuning into these games, watching the Sunday Ticket, for example. Trying to watch all these games because it's fun, but also by watching a bunch of these teams or across a couple different divisions, you really get a more honest assessment. So yeah, that's pretty heavy stuff, right? Well, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. Obviously you do that, maybe we can get a little bigger. So thanks for watching this episode of State of the North.